Hello, and welcome to my garden. I'm Darcy Daniels, garden designer and creator of eGardenGo.com. And we're in my garden in Northeast Portland. It's very early April, which is one of my favorite times of year. And, while there's a lot going on in the garden, there's still a fair amount of bare ground. But everywhere that I look, I see its potential. And I've been gardening like a madwoman since my last update. I've been putting in new plants, moving and transplanting plants, trying to keep on top of the weeds and seasonal tasks, but generally just having fun rearranging and reorganizing. I've moved some of my furniture and containers in my living spaces. Today, I'm going to give you an early season walkabout, a lay of the land. We're going to walk through the neighbor's garden to the south, my front yard, and we'll come back through the backyard again. This time of year, it's about looking closer and looking for and appreciating all those details and making close observations as plants are emerging and things are just getting started out here. And later this season, and as the seasons unfold, we'll come back and we'll take a closer look at these various areas in the garden. And right now, I am on the neighbor's garden to the south. So I've talked about this one a couple of times, and I feel like I'm making some headway. Yes, there's still a lot of bare ground in there right now, but 'tis the season. It is 31st of March. Tomorrow's April 1. And this is the current status of my Portland garden. I'm in USDA Zone 8B, bordering on 9A, and it has been incredibly mild, although we have been getting some rain and we will be getting more rain. But so I'm out here between rain showers. Last time I showed you this, I was probably bemoaning the fact that I was just really struggling with a bunch of weeds. I still am, but it is definitely getting better, and I'm really hopeful that this is going to be its kind of season to really fluff up, if you will. So it's looking pretty good. And just some of the, we're starting to see a little bit more flower color. We've got our euphorbia that's kind of light and bright and pretty, our Virginia, and these transplants of the iris that I've mentioned a couple of times are really perking up. I just love the way that they create a connection down the bed, that white variegation, and just the textural variety in here between the sedum, the iris, the Virginia. Some of these are pretty common plants, except for that iris, but Virginia, very common plant, but so functional, so useful this time of year, and tough as nails. The slope garden, this is where we took out that agave, so that's kind of an opportunity spot back there in that steel cylinder. I might be putting like a big blue hosta in there, but I actually don't have it yet, so I don't know what's going to go in there. This is kind of waking up, but let's go down here. I want to show you something that's really making me happy. This is on the far end, and I want to make sure that I point out this plant in particular. This is a ribes, a flowering currant, and this is its moment. Looks just fantastic. I love it. And you may or may not recall that in a couple of videos back, we moved this barberry. I moved this barberry here because this is the color story I was going for. And lo and behold, looky there, it's doing it. Neighboring here is a peony, which will have those big, blousy, crazy flowers in a few days. But right now, not a few days, excuse me, several weeks, it is budding up. But those won't flower for a while yet. But its new foliage with that bronze is a perfect contribution to that bed. Lots of bare ground right in there. But I'm excited to say this corner is going to be incorporated into the garden here in a couple of weeks. I'm going to strip that grass off, go around the corner, and I'll be able to add this section into the garden. So of course I'm kind of cogitating on what's going to go in there. So that'll be fun. And now we're walking back towards, my garden. As I garden this in my neighbor's property. We're both pretty darn happy about it. It allows me to kind of garden down the block, allows them to get, have a garden on their property without a lot of effort or work. And here's my front slope, kind of a sunnier spot, some fun things happening, but we've looked at this at other times. That's how that's coming along. I did a video on, additions on this bed a couple of weeks ago, but it's settling in. This front corner. Everything is just getting big, lush, full, and changing every day, almost hour by hour it seems, but certainly day by day. Through here, this is really sweet. This is Veronica, Georgia Blue, which is really kind of carpeting the ground in some of the areas that I'm getting it started in a very polite way. So it's an evergreen perennial, spring blooming that just kind of carpets around other plants. Crape myrtle Zuni with its beautiful bark. Love that. And the parking strip. Got this Spiraea here with its beautiful spring foliage. Pretty as a flower, really. Later, that will have red flowers. So that's a Spiraea. These tulips are just naturalized throughout my garden. And I'm okay with that. They are very much, I got a lot of them. But the reason I'm okay with it is their foliage is really quite small. And so when it dies back, it doesn't, or the foliage doesn't overwhelm its neighbors. So I'm able to grow that in and around and between lots of the other plants without overwhelming them, which is a little different than, you can almost see the difference here. Allium, I love my allium, I really do, but I am working hard at getting them thinned out in this bed because that foliage can be pretty domineering and actually crowd out some things. So I don't find that to be the case with the tulips. So I let those go, but I am working on thinning out some of the allium foliage. Right now it looks like a bit of a mess, but in a few weeks or so, that's just going to have a lot of great allium through there, and so we're going to think that's pretty cool. But right now I'd say this is its better angle, where we can really kind of see some of the structural plants, kind of get a better idea of what's going on. So let's head on up. xFatshedera needs a bit of a trim, but super vigorous. I did make a change here. I took out a conifer that was taking up this whole area there. It was Camellia iceberg, and it was just too prominent and dominant on that corner. And so I took it out so it's a little less crowded. I had this conifer kind of in waiting. I was growing it on in a container, so I put it in there. So it's going to be similar to what the other one did for me, which was kind of an evergreen structural plant in there, but it's smaller. So now I just need to round out this bed and fill in a few of those blanks, but that's the fun part. I'll do that soon. We're actually getting some of those nice sunny afternoon days. So we have been able to sit out here a little bit, so that's been nice. And it comes and goes. you just have to wait and watch for it. But we do get beautiful sunny days. But until June, July, we're going to still get a fair amount of rainy days. So we take the sun when we get it and enjoy, bask out here in front. This is a really great spot for us in spring because in the summer it's so blasting hot that it's a little uncomfortable. But in spring, when you're really looking for that sun, it feels pretty darn good. So we spend a lot of time out here in the spring. My clematis are hinting at a show to come, and I will definitely try and do an update to my clematis collection. I have a ton of them. I walked around the other day and took a count of how many I have, and it's dozens and dozens. So when they start blooming, I'll do another video walkabout showing how they're doing, because some of them are really starting to kick in. Several years ago, I added a lot of different varieties, and clematis can take a little while to get going. So, but now this year it looks like they're gonna perform for me. I love this sweet little vignette. I've made some changes to it. So that's a new addition, which I selected to go with that, which is awesome. That's a hellebore orgidifolius variety selected for that white foliage, red stems. And I've got a couple hellebores in there. This Kalmiopsis has been blooming forever, and so it's kind of was the anchor here. It's just the really special plant, and so I gave it some partners to really accentuate it. And I love that Heuchera formium hellebore combo. There's going to be a vine coming up and joining it. We've got the loropetalum with an echo of bloom color. Fringe flower is what that is. And adding some additional vine supports for my vines, hoping that I can get them kind of up and elevated and visible. So let's head back and see what's happening in the back. And we're really, there are so many plants that I could talk with you about, but I've been remiss in doing a video because sometimes it's just overwhelming. It's like, which plants would I talk to you about? And so I decided if I just do a walkthrough, this will be an overview, and then later we can come in and look at some of the more detailed plantings. But because it's just hard to choose what to highlight, because I've been busy. I've been working on adding new plants, going to nurseries and making sure that they get in the ground, get planted, and get off to a good start before the weather changes, which it will. And when it changes, then it starts getting pretty darn hot. And at that point, I slow down on planting new plants. This camellia, I'm kind of mixed on it. It's pretty impressive in terms of how vigorous it is, how much it's flowering, and its color is just pretty gorgeous. I'll give you that. But it's a messy, messy thing. My goodness. These flowers can hardly hold themselves up on the shrub, and they fall down, and there's so many of them that, it's just kind of messy. So it has its moment, and it is pretty darn impressive, pretty darn cool right this second. And it is doing so well that it's not like I'm contemplating taking it off or taking it down, because it is an evergreen shrub that's trained against the fence. So it's really giving me a nice green wall in this section. So its flowers are kind of fun. Not my favorite flowers, not my favorite, you know, like, I don't like it when they fall off, but all in all, not a reason to remove it. I've planted quite a few new plants. I've been reworking a lot of my containers, things that I'd been growing in the containers for a while, taking them out and putting them in the garden elsewhere. And so and so there are some blank containers here that we're seeing. And just kind of trying to get put together and tidied. There's a lot of stuff around still, but I'm just kind of giving you a behind the scenes tour, not worrying too much about it being show ready, just so you can kind of get a sense of what the garden looks like in late March, going into early April. This is the side yard garden. It used to be a driveway. Now it's a narrow garden, about 9 feet wide. On one side, I have the raised bed that's elevated with that sinuous steel edging. Lots of containers there on the house side. And it's a sunny spot on the right-hand side of the screen. That's quite sunny. On the left-hand screen, it can be quite shaded. And there's Combo over there on the deck enjoying a little bit of sunshine. He's a sun dog. He just loves it. Now, I'm going to talk more about this change in a totally separate video, but just a sneak peek to what I'm working on is I changed out the seating area. I made it a seating area. I took out the dining table. And like I said, I'm going to talk more about that in a different video, and this is not entirely done. I don't have my cushions out and that sort of thing, but it's a pretty big change in terms of how we'll use this part of the garden, and I'm super excited about it. This is the bed just to the south side of the studio. My containers, I've started bringing my containers out. Generally speaking, I'm not worrying too much about my succulents, and I'm bringing them out. And there's a little bit of risk associated with that, but a lot of times I just do what I can do when I can do it, and so it just seemed like the right time to take some of those out. And I know you all want to see Combo, so let's go in and take a look and say hi. Hey, buddy, say hi. Yeah, he's a sun dog. He's getting a little bit of sun. I guess I've been thinking about how to use the space. This is our back area. It's looking a little different now because I changed the position of where these blue rockers are. They used to be back there. I moved them in here. And partly I did that because I found I wasn't using this space back here for hanging out and sitting around as much as I would like. And that's because these chairs are a lot more comfortable than those chairs. But those chairs are super cute, and I didn't want to get rid of them. So anyways, I'm trying them over there and just changing how I've got this other area furnished. And I think I'll like that. I think I'll like that change. The deep shade bed, making a few changes in there. Some things are waking up, but definitely things are in varying degrees of, whether they're starting to really show how beautiful they're going to be or whether they look like they're still just winter. But down here, there's a lot of fun things to see. A lot of times in this season, you just have to look closer, right? So you see the beautiful emerging foliage, that shot of color. You go in and you look at things that are emerging and say, wow, okay, you're doing great this year. Hardy fuchsias saying, yes, it's going to be a great year. little hole in the ground. I dug out a division for a friend yesterday, so that's cool, of that fern. And now I got to figure out, okay, well, that means, because that fern, it's a ghost fern. Love that fern, but it was just doing too well. And so I took out a section of it. And now I have room for something else. And we're going along. So we're coming along that back corner. Lots of the details are kind of coming, waking up. Little pulmonaria. And there you go. That's the garden as of early April 2026. Lots of changes still to come. And we're going to be taking a closer look at those changes and dig into some of the details in future videos. So don't forget to like and subscribe if you don't want to miss that.